I and we all are relieved that no one was seriously injured in the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend. No matter the perpetrator, no matter the motive, political violence endangers our democracy. I denounce political violence in all its forms, as I always have and always will. I commend law enforcement's swift response to apprehend the gunman, which undoubtedly saved many lives, and that includes the Secret Service. Now, on the need to fund the Secret Service. I just heard Leader Thune lashing out. I sympathize with him. He's in a real pickle. He's fighting with his own Republican Party Speaker in the House. His caucus here is factionalized as to what to do, as to how we fund both ICE and CPB, and even DHS. They're in a mess. So what does the Republican leader do? He points fingers at Democrats. That's absurd. The idea that Democrats are somehow to blame for this Republican shutdown of DHS is just ridiculous. And Thune and his Republican leadership ought to act like adults and help us solve this problem during serious times like these, instead of pointing fingers in another direction. At this very moment, funding for Secret Service and so many other agencies is sitting idly in the House of Representatives, not waiting for Democrats. We don't run the House. Waiting for Republicans. And Republicans somehow, especially the right-wing propaganda, just blames Democrats with no logic, no rationale. What Republican right-wing propaganda is saying couldn't be further from the truth. Democrats have wanted to fund all of the law-abiding agencies at DHS, and we worked with Republicans, Leader Thune, here in the House to do it, here in the Senate to do it. Democrats look to compromise with Republicans as we pushed for common sense reforms for ICE and other agencies. And twice, Democrats and Republicans here in the Senate unanimously passed a bill that would fund all of the agencies within DHS except for ICE and Border Patrol, which are already funded. Let me say that again. Democrats unanimously supported funding the vast majority of DHS, including Secret Service, not once, but twice. We passed it in the Senate, not once, but twice. It was House Republicans, not Democrats, who blocked funding for Secret Service, TSA, CISA, Coast Guard, FEMA, and other agencies that we all agree should be funded. House Republicans could and should fund Secret Service today, but instead they're holding it up. And so Leader Thune, if he wants to be constructive, if he wants to get something done, should stop pointing fingers in this direction and start looking in the mirror, or at least look down the hall and start talking some sense to the House Republicans who seem to be tied in a knot because the right-wing MAGA few refuse to go forward. Republicans ought to start standing up to Speaker Johnson and the House Freedom Caucus and say we must fund this. And that applies to the Republican leader, who has a greater responsibility than just inanely pointing fingers to the other side of the aisle. To the Republicans, House, Senate, stop with the partisan games, advance the bipartisan bill that we all passed unanimously in the Senate, and we could get the funding for Secret Service and other agencies done. On the budget resolution, last week the nation saw what Republicans are prioritizing. Instead of lowering Americans' costs and funding agencies like Secret Service, on amendment after amendment, vote after vote, Democrats held Republicans accountable in last week's vote-a-rama for trying to give ICE and Border Patrol up to $140 billion, but zero to lower Americans' costs. Democrats gave Republicans opportunities to join us in lowering out-of-pocket health care costs, in reducing child care costs, in stopping insurance company delays, in protecting school meals. Republicans said no over and over again, simply to take $140 billion and put it into ICE and Border Patrol. Can you believe it? Can you believe it, America? At a time when Americans are crying out for relief, Republicans are tying this Senate in knots, all to cut Trump's rogue agencies a blank check with no significant reform that the American people want. If Republicans think they're finished taking these difficult votes, they got another thing coming. Democrats will make sure Republicans face more votes on affordability when reconciliation comes back up in a few weeks, because it's so important to the American people. We will continue to expose Republicans' economic agenda for what it is, an utter disaster for working Americans. It's no wonder Trump's numbers are lower than they have ever been. He's not addressing what the American people want, and Republicans in the House and Senate just follow him blindly. The GOP has completely lost sight of the needs of the American people right now. Trump wants to seclude himself in a walled palace, literally. His party's now trying to use their reconciliation process to pave the way for Donald Trump's gilded ballroom. If Republicans truly want to improve security, they should join Democrats in funding the Secret Service, not Donald Trump's luxury ballroom. Americans want us to help them put food on their tables and gas in their tanks, not to help Donald Trump put more gold on his walls. On Iran. In Iran, the hole Donald Trump dug himself into grows deeper and deeper by the day. Every day Trump continues this war, the harder it will be for him to escape that hole. This Friday will mark 60 days since Donald Trump officially notified Congress of his foolhardy venture in Iran, a war he launched without declaration or authorization from Congress, without a plan, without a goal, without knowledge of how much it would cost or how long it would last. It's incredible. Never seen such a ridiculous, harmful, unthought out, erratic foreign policy venture as this war with Iran is, totally started by Trump. There was no clamor in America to do it. 60 days is the threshold under the War Powers Act, which several of my Republican colleagues clearly recognize. But it didn't take 60 days for anyone to recognize Trump's mismanagement of this war. We have given Senate Republicans 5 opportunities to support our War Powers resolution. Each time they chose to back Trump and prolong this blunder even longer. Democrats will give Republicans a 6th opportunity to support our resolution this week. And by the end of the week, we will cross the 60-day threshold, and Trump's flaunting of our congressional war powers will be undeniable. I urge Republicans to support our resolution instead of continuing to tie themselves to this reckless war. I urge Republicans to have a little courage. You hear when they talk to one another, when they even talk to us, they know what folly this war has been in terms of its cost, huge amounts of cost, in terms of the loss of life, in terms of oil prices and Americans paying more than $4 a gallon at the pump. So if Republicans voted with us, they'd be doing Donald Trump a big favor. Negotiations remain frozen. Gas prices remain over $4 a gallon. The Strait of Hormuz remains closed, and our service members, including those actively enforcing a blockade of the strait, remain in harm's way. The other day, Trump said that gas prices could be high, quote, for a little while. That's what he said. Well, the Pentagon reportedly notified Congress last week that it could take 6 months after the war ends to sweep the Iranian minefields in the Strait. 6 months is not a little while for the American people, who every week struggle to figure out how to pay the damn bills. That's what's happening here. Every week, Americans are getting crushed by the cost of this war every time they go to the pump, and that's 6 months after the war ends. Unfortunately, there's still no end in sight. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He sends envoys here to Pakistan, leave Pakistan, be here. Maybe in the first week or two, some people thought there's a strategy here. Now it's clear to everybody there is none. And there's no ends in sight. Democrats will continue to force votes on our War Powers Resolution every week this war rages on. Allowing this reckless war to continue would be a supreme dereliction of my colleagues' duty under the Constitution. Yield the floor and note the absence